And I emerge. So, thank you for 1,000 subscribers. Oh, I just froze there. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're back in business. Anyway, yeah, thanks for 1,000 subscribers. I am honestly very surprised that I was able to make it even this far. And, well, this video is basically just like kind of a combination follow up to the whole S3 Virge Minecraft stuff, as well as just like, a 1,000 subscriber thank you video. I don't have any background footage to use for this, so you get to experience me with full hand, well, kind of broken hand tracking, and yeah. Anyway, I'm just going to be going over some stuff that I wanted to talk about that I did not end up putting in the video itself, and these are some things that people asked in the comments as well. So first of all, why didn't you use Linux or BSD? Neither Linux nor BSD, as far as I know, have hardware accelerated OpenGL drivers available for the S3 Virge. And because the driver or the OpenGL implementation came in the form of a wrapper file that only works on Windows, excuse me for the cough, I still have a cold. Because of that, I don't think even through Wine I would be able to use the driver under Linux, or the wrapper. And so, yeah, that really limits me to only using Windows 9X, because that is specifically the only Windows platform where S3 released the full driver exposing the S3D API. And that brings us to how does the wrapper work, which was not actually asked in the comments to my knowledge, but it's still something that I want to talk about. So, from what I understand from walking through, well, not walking through, but reading the source code, because it is available, the wrapper, as the name implies, wraps around OpenGL and translates the API calls for OpenGL to S3's own S3D API, as well as a little bit of direct 3D on the side. And because of this need to translate to a low level hardware language such as S3D, that is once again why I'm pretty sure that I'll not be able to use Linux or BSD as mentioned before. Let's see. Why did I do this? Honestly, I was just bored. And, well, you clicked on this video and previous videos, most likely. So, chances are you were probably bored as well. And, yeah, no hardware was harmed in the making of this video. I just want to reiterate on that. I didn't use thermal paste just because the AMD K6 3 Plus, even at 550 megahertz, is very cool running. And considering how I have a socket 370 slash socket A processor, I know that you can't really see it because all that's behind me is like a black screen, but I'm looking at it right now. But yeah, that thing ran not only cool to the touch, but cold to the touch. So it is definitely getting enough cooling. Let's see. Why didn't you run other games, and why didn't you use Bedrock Edition? So, most other games, including Minecraft Bedrock Edition, are most likely going to require additional CPU instruction set extensions such as SSE and SSE2, just to name a couple of examples. And especially for Bedrock Edition, that's going to require Windows 10 or Windows 11, and at least for Windows 10, since that's the only version out of the two that have 32-bit support at all, that requires not only SSE2 but also NX-bit, and that limits the CPU to anything from the Pentium 4 on LGA 7075, or not 7070, 775 or above. And, well, that is a lot newer than anything that the AMD K6 3 Plus is even remotely close to. And so, yeah, once again, that applies to other games as well. I think the only reasonable way that I'd be able to run those games is if I was to do it through emulation using like Quemu, which is QEMU or something like that, where I can emulate a completely different CPU. Excuse the coughs. So, let's see. Okay, that is basically all the questions that I had in mind that I wanted to answer. I'll continue to answer questions in the comments. Probably after this video is published, I'm just going to adjust the webcam for a moment. There we go, that's a little bit better. Anyway, so I just wanted to talk about the wrapper itself now for a bit. So, according to the source code, which is s3mesa.c, the driver was written by S3 Incorporated with support from, and I'm gonna try my best to pronounce these names, Henry Foose, Jack Palovich, Diego Picciani, and Brian Paul, and is partially based on the FX Mesa wrapper for 3DFX Voodoo cards written by David Bucciarelli. And if you don't know, FX Mesa is also a wrapper project by the Mesa folks that basically does the same thing as what the S3 Mesa wrapper that I used here was, except instead of wrapping to S3D, it wraps to what's it called? Glide, which is 3DFX's own low-level hardware API for their graphics cards. And fun fact, the email address listed as the main contact source or contact point in the S3 Mesa source code file is none other than Raja Kaduri, who is currently heading the Intel Arc GPU project over at, Intel. And it's kind of funny to think about how S3 historically had a reputation for terrible driver support, and like looking at Intel Arc now, they also kind of have driver issues as well. I'm not saying that Raja Kaduri is the reason why there's so many driver issues, but it's just kind of funny to think about just the sheer coincidence that he happened to be at two companies working on graphics cards, both of which had driver issues. And additionally, the wrapper's source code actually mentions that the source code for the driver mentions that it was written by S3 Incorporated, as I mentioned before, with help from the Mesa project, and that implies that this is actually the official driver or OpenGL implementation for the S3 Virge, and I'm pretty sure based on how it had several unimplemented features that were like commented out and stuff, that S3 probably just like gave up on development and just pushed it out without bundling it in with any driver. And so yeah, that's how I ended up coming across it in the Vogon's wrapper collection project thing. It was just a random file on the internet that happened to, I guess, be intended to be bundled with S3's drivers for the Verge, but never ended up actually being so. So last thing of all, let's just go over some final specs. So the CPU that I used at the very beginning of the video was an AMD K63 Plus, overclocked from 450 to 550 megahertz, though the fastest I've been able to push it to is 600. Though later on I switched over to the Pentium 90, just for the meme. And the graphics card, as the whole video was talking about, was the S3 Virge DX, which I was able to configure between 2 and 4 megabytes by literally removing some of the RAM chips. And speaking of RAM, originally the system started off with 768 megabytes of PC133 SD RAM, later downgrading to 64 megabytes of PC100 in the video where I showed, 2 megabytes of VRAM and 64 megs of system RAM. And then for the operating system, I used Windows 98 SE with kernel EX, though that's not actually needed if you just use Java 5 instead of Java 6, which is what I used here. And the version of Minecraft I used was Minecraft Classic version 0.31. And I tried to get newer versions of Minecraft to run because technically I think every version of Minecraft up to the first release is capable of running on OpenGL 1.1 as long as it is hardware accelerated, not GDI generic. But I was not able to get anything higher than, classic to run because I think the Verge just runs out of VRAM or something. I don't know. And last of all, as of the most recent video for the Verge in specific, I used a screen resolution of 640 by 480 and a color depth of 24 bits. I think Minecraft probably has like a tendency to, I guess, I can't really explain it in more technical terms because I am still very much a beginner in even Java programming, but Minecraft ran with minimal rendering issues at 24-bit color depth, and the reason why I had to run at 640 by 480 was because at that high of a color depth, if I tried to run the screen at a higher resolution, Minecraft actually would start complaining about running out of VRAM, and so once again, I just had to crank it all the way down, and yeah. So, that is pretty much the follow up. Once again, thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. I did not expect any of this to happen. Excuse my mispronunciations and lisp, I guess. And yeah, I am aware of the fact that I apparently give off Draga 1 vibes, and yeah, it's been a while since I've watched any of his videos, but I guess thanks. I didn't actually know that he stopped really being all that active on YouTube until I went ahead and looked up his channel again. Because, yeah, despite being subscribed, I haven't really watched his videos in a long time now since I guess he stopped uploading them. But, yeah, once again, thanks for the comparison, I guess. And, yeah, I guess more to come in the future. I am currently working on well, I already got a Voodoo Banshee to render Minecraft. I just gotta, record a full video for that, though with the fall semester starting and all, I don't particularly have that much time to work on long projects or even editing videos to an extent. Like, this whole YouTube stuff is just a hobby for me. I'm not like looking to make it be a whole career or anything. I'm just uploading whatever interests me on the internet and I guess sharing my interests with all of you. And yeah, it's good to know that so many other people share in that same interest of just doing whatever the heck happens to come across my mind on pairing up old hardware with modernish software or other hardware and just doing weird stuff in general. Like, I know that I don't have it on screen because, once again, I'm just a talking head right now, but my earliest videos consisted of Minecraft Let's Plays, fanfiction readings. I still might end up doing fanfiction readings on a second channel eventually, but I'm not sure about that. I want to maybe someday figure out how I could maybe integrate some of the creative writing stuff that I like to also do as a hobby on the side into stuff. Like maybe I'll provide bits of a story during like time lapses or something. I don't know. And yeah, I guess just more to come in the future. And yeah, well, I don't normally ask this in videos a lot often, but yeah, if you really like this sort of content, feel free to subscribe. It's not really all that much of a thing. Like, I really don't have that much variety on my channel now that I think of it, aside from, the random other stuff that I do, but for the most part, it's just tinkering with old tech that I happen to get for relatively cheap. And yeah, so I think that's about it for this video. I don't really have anything else that I have on mind that I want to say, but yeah, thanks for watching, and until next time, I'm out. See ya. Come on, hand tracking. Let me wave. uh, this is what I get for connecting the hand tracker through a USB 2 cable. Okay, yeah. I'm out. See ya.